Actually, yeah, it's too late now. Fuck it. Episode 5. I know if I talked to them, I could have lowered their thing, but I failed, dude. Your waist hurts. You feel a burning in your esophagus and the onset of the cramp on your left leg. Try to remember happier times. Times when you awoke differently. Eva used to rise before you. First thing that would greet you is the aroma of coffee waiting in from the kitchen. After a while, she entered the room with 2 steaming cups. Imagine if there is no FBI thing and his things are actually dead. She set them at the bedside table and placed a kiss on your lips. Coffee would stop steaming in the cool of the cups, but neither of you would particularly mind. Years later, Olivia would arrive, and the mornings would be different. Not better nor worse, just different. Suddenly, breathing becomes a struggle. A profound sense of loss engulfs you. It's as if Evie and Olivia are no longer there. As if the accident had really happened, and you could never see them again. Shake your head. How much did you drink last night? Only 2 beers? However, you left a note and you had a job well done. The fact that he did it without you noticing bothers you. Step out of the car and morning chill takes you by surprise. Mile 54. Think about the graphology class at the agency, meaning entwined within each stroke. Yet, beyond the theoretical discourse, you recognize the sender of the message. Could it be actual evidence? You look around you. Cars of Bahnsen 9s rest like cattle in the field. Before the circadian rhythms kick in. Let's look at everyone's car, right? No? Luca's car. You can't stand Luca. His attitude, the way he talks to people, that giggling, reminds you of high school years, where unfortunately you cross paths with several people like him. Vincent sleeps. That's better. Look away with the fear of waking him up. All the Bahnsen nights, Monique's the one with whom you find it hardest to strike up a conversation. You're not surprised. You were never good at talking to women. Think of Eva. If it wasn't for her, you two would have never had a first date. You don't want to wake up. Anybody up. Last thing you need is for any of these psychopaths to tell you. You start the engine, you figure you're good far down the road. Mile 54. It's Tony after at mile 54. Stomach grumbles. A gloomy thought of you crosses your mind. If it was your last shot. What if your last shot was at breakfast? Oh, okay, I see, that's why. I see, he's hungry. Try to think of the Bahnsen Knights territory, of the number of barns with a giant red cross slapped on the wall. What would all this look like from above? Cooper's always over that gap between the map and its territory. And he'd shake his head when you said that you didn't want to pick up the Borges, despite his prodding. Order black coffee, eggs, and bacon. If it's your last breakfast, you won't mind missing out on anything. All of a sudden, appetite's gone. You drop your fork on their plate and wonder if maybe it had been better never to have tasted happiness in life. Feel the dampness in your eyes, and you quiver in your hands. Happiness, that was the worst drug. Withdrawal hits harder than a freight train. You just want to head back home and wish it all to be over. How much longer are you going to hold out? Cooper had it figured. More than a few times, Yon hammered about the biggest foe for an undercover agent. What was that line he just couldn't quit repeating? Reality's just an illusion we've gotten used to. What the? Evidence you left in your daughter's grave is no longer there, but there's only 3 holy cards are. Father Mario, holy card used by the agency for catalog actions of Tony Circle. Documentations, oh, there's more. Bahnsen Knights, the undoer of knots, material that could have been forged. Okay. Along with these holy cards, there's 2 ones. Oh, Lady of Health. And Saint Expedus. Expeditus. Expeditus. It's always those Latin words. Fucking hell. Bend down to pick him up in a great sense of helplessness. On earth is your handling looking for? More evidence that Tony's a son of a bitch? Isn't it enough that you know to know Kutrip is gone? And Kupra, did he find anything? Or had he simply been discovered? Head spinning. You try to concentrate, almost as if your nature was giving you a sign. To spot the shadows slipping away from under the light of the midday sun. It's Cassia. It's time. The road meanders gently, and you think of him. How she'd swayed to her jam, all graceful and free. And it's stone's throw away now, and you ease off the gas. There it is, finally. Oh, wow. Tank top Tony, dude. Though you weren't showing up. Thought you weren't showing up. You smile. You never considered that option. Here we are. Mile 54. And then it ain't just us who've crossed paths at this point, huh? You're familiar with the backstory of the Bahnsen Knights? You like to tell them, yes. To spell out you're an undercover agent. There's that fat file about the back of the agency. You buy a ticket to see his look on his face. Ask him about your partner. You just shake your head. Hold on a sec. Guarantee it's going to be worth your while. Back in '83, there was a curious happening. 2 F5 tornadoes nailed in the heart of the country at the same time. Oh shit. Remember when they blab about it, their paths on TV? It's tough for you to admit, but it only took them 3 sentences to hook you. You remained silent and let him continue his story. I was working as a used car salesman back then. My town took the biggest punch. One tornado slashed it south to north. Later, another one swept through the southwest to northeast. This way. Like a cross. Got saved by a fluke. Tony takes a pause. Town is pretty much wiped out. My boss was a son of a bitch. Mark Fisher. Mark Fisher? Just going to your memory for that name popping up in the agent's dossier. And I wasn't just tossing that out. You know what Monique says about adjectives, right? You don't. And you're glad to have a few topic on a conversation with the librarian. Anyway, Mark owed me a commission for my last sales. He knew I needed that cash, but didn't give a damn. Once the sirens quit wailing, I hoofed it to the office, sifted through the debris, clinging on the hope of scooping up anything. But I found nothing. Cash box was busted open. Never found out who swiped the money. It wasn't Mark. He died in the storms. Something snapped in me. I started tearing everything apart. Like a third tornado ripping through the damn offices. Must have caught a glint of metal. Behind the picture frame was a key and a legend. Mile 54. Figured Mark had other stuff going on. So without thinking too much, I left the office. And I started looking for Mile 54. Got any clue how many Mile 54 markers litter this country? Shake your head and Tony grins. Started off with the closest one. Didn't find anything. Kept at it. And after a while, landed on this spot. The barn was padlocked, but I got the key. Couldn't believe my eyes. Felt like I stepped through into Heaven's Gate. Sierra stretching for as far as you can see. My boss had them imported from Europe. Oh, and for some reason, he couldn't sell them just yet. Know what that cross is, brother? A boulder? A cross of an intersection. A meeting point. 2 tornadoes. And a guy in a batch of imported cars. Tony takes a pause. His stare is intense and hard for you to bear it. But it also 2 friends. Or 2 pair of foes. Each of us carries more than one cross. Key is knowing to which one flaunts to others. Silence gets heavy. You don't dare to break it. Shall we go back, Boulder? You nod. And Tony's words rattle in your head. You feel the heat under the weight of your body. And it brings to mind those cats lounging on the car hoods. Oh. He used to think they did it to ward off the chill. But Cooper had told you that the real reason was different. Cats perch on the car hoods to protect themselves from stray dogs. What are you thinking about? About what we're doing here. What's the plan? His eyes look at you like in some kind of puzzle. Sometimes I'm scratching my head wondering if you're just a bit slow. Or if you're trying to bait me into saying something that'll screw me over. You lock into a stare like they taught you at the agency. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Broad grin spread across your face. You want to frisk me, Vinny? That's it, isn't it? Vincent lets out a laugh. Improvise, Boulder. Planning is for nerds. You hear how he clears his throat and spits in the asphalt. Do you know that saliva stimulates soft tissue repair? And that it can accelerate healing? Vincent looks at his arm for a few seconds. It's the little I remember from school. I dropped out at 15. I'd lock myself in my room and cut myself near my elbow. Then I'd spit on the wound and stare at it for hours. I showed my brother what I was doing once, and that prick told my stepfather. I can still feel the pounding I took, and the things he hurled at me. Years later, I tracked him down and took a butcher knife to him. As he bled out on the floor, I started spitting. I spit, and spit. My spit was all over the place. Except for the hole that I put in that piece of shit. Boulder! Cross the truck's path and make it stop. I'll handle the rest. You rush to the door and fire up the engine. Cross the truck's path, make it stop. So that was the plan? Slam down on the gas pedal, trying not to get left behind. Hey! You look to the side, and you spot Vincent clutching something on his right hand. Uh-oh, I have a bad feeling about this. Truck driver seems to suspect something. He's driving at full speed. It's going to be hard for you to overtake him and cross your car in front of him and force him to stop, especially given oncoming traffic. Okay, steer left. Steer right. Hit the gas. Steer left. Steer right. Hit the gas. Cross the pass. You got in front of the truck and slams on the brakes. The truck brakes too. I see. Yo, the agency a lot. Without that transfer, you could have crossed paths with Emma. Hold still while we unload. Okay, I see. Olivia's wouldn't exist. I don't know what's true or what's not true. When you were transferred, the agency had taken care of everything. They hired a truck to move you across the country. Your father has passed away long before, and you made a decision to sell his house. Nearly everything there had belonged to him. Don't worry, it won't be long now. Boxes and boxes from the past that would never return. Cooper had been there. And I had helped you unload them. And he had helped you unload them. You know what? I'm not worried about you talking. Driver scans left and right. Because he'll be spitting through a straw for at least a year. Cooper used to say this in silence is more important than words. That person who listens more is significant than one who talks. And that word means nothing without someone to hear them. Jesus multiplied them loaves and turned water into wine. Water into wine. Can you imagine? Why settle for wine that's watery? There's laughter and then some applause. I promised you better miracle, didn't I? And I multiplied very good wines. But I'm no Jesus, no. I hold those who stand by me in high regard. Tony motions for you to step onto the stage. Boulder is one of the folks who helped me get my wine for today. You look around. Where's Vincent? Come here, Boulder. And hand out the bottles to the crowd. The atmosphere is blooming, and you smile, thinking of Eva. Eva had said you don't go out together enough, so she's arranged a wine tasting at a new restaurant nearby. The idea didn't exactly tickle your fancy, but Olivia would have you staying over at Eva's mum's, and could drink as much wine as you wanted. Although that night started with a lot of nonsense, noses nestled in broad glasses, swirling motions to scrutinize the liquid's body, and elaborate descriptions for simple concepts like red or robust. The mess at the end had not been much different than tonight with the Bahnsen nights. Listen up. This won't be the only miracle today. You catch some tough Tony's talk. You're tired of his stories. If thumbing the ride symbolizes a modern-day Lazarus from the Bible, you'd rather be back home. Who embodies Jesus in this scenario? Hugging Eva, playing with Olivia. The car or its driver? What the fuck is Tony blabbering about? And who is the poor bastard in Falcon Twins? The Falcon Twins, dude, look at them, are hauling on stage. The man can barely stand. What could the twins have done to him? Falcon Twins is an odd pair of Bahnsen Knights, two bodybuilders that lost everything to the tornadoes. And for Tony, Tony set him a gym in one of their barns. Oh, Tony glances to the side, gestures towards the siblings. Allow me to introduce you to someone. Could this be the modern-day Lazarus? Is it? It starts with a murmur. Lazarus. More people join in. Lazarus. And ends with a roar. Lazarus! Tony walks up to the man, and even though he lowers his voice, you can still hear it from where you're standing. That's the problem with writers, Lou. Lou? Who's Lou? They just don't listen to people. You really think that there's nothing to tell there here? Ah, you son of a bitch. Lou chuckles, and laughter fades from a dry cough. You step over to Lou and offer your shoulder for him to lean on. What are you doing, Boulder? You raise your eyebrows, and Tony appears to hesitate for a moment. But eventually he nods. Monique, I need everything ready for tomorrow's situation on tomorrow's stations of the cross. Vincent? Take Lou to the barn. The glance in your direction, Vincent looks surprised and starts to complain. Right now. You managed to let Lou into the back seat. Would have been easier with Vincent's help, but when you asked him, he just bared his teeth at you. He sat behind the wheel of the Sierra. Lou seemed like he to fallen asleep. Could this guy be the key to finally putting an end to it all? You feel the car slowing down, and you instinctively clench your fists. Don't you get your hopes up, Boulder. Neither one of you is important enough to be executed in the middle of nowhere. It's the wine. I can't take it anymore. Oh, he's pissing. You don't have much time. You shake Lou until he wakes up. Why they've got him trapped. Who are you? Lou Hill. Paranormal investigator. He's having a hard time concentrating, and you squeeze his shoulder. And writer. Who's Lou Hill? You start talking, Vincent gets in the car. What are you doing, you motherfucker? Before you open your mouth, Vincent turns around and points to the shotgun at you. Holy shit! Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, I messed up again. Hella quick, dude. You fall silent and hear Vincent's footsteps outside the car. Did you miss me? Hey, wipe that expression off your face, Boulder. We live Lou in the barn. and meet the others at Danny's. You smirk. But deep down you know time is running out. One way or another, all of this has to come to an end.
Alright, Dexter. JR wanted me to give you a little shout out. He says to call you a bastard, but I've never met you. You might be perfectly nice for all I know, you bastard. Like, comment, and subscribe, or I'll break your fucking legs.